Hello everyone, welcome to Terraria. I have a lot of hours in this game. On Steam, I have 1700 on Vanilla, 700 on Tmod Loader, another 60 on Switch, and God only knows how many on iPad. So, I've spent a lot of time in Terraria, but you know what? There's still quite a few things that I haven't experienced in this game. Off the top of my head, I can think of a bunch of weapons that I know exist, but have just never used before. Either because they pale in comparison to other weapons at that tier, or because they're just so rare that even if I do ever pick them up, I've probably already passed the point at which they would be usable. So in this video, I'm going to be starting a new Terraria playthrough, but I'm going to challenge myself into not using any weapons that I've used before. And I've also decided to extend these rules to armor and accessories to a lesser degree to keep things interesting. For this, I'm just going to try and use the most unusual accessories and armor possible, even if I might have used them before. We'll also be playing on Master Mode, so that should be fun. Alright, with all that said, let's load into the world. Okay, first of all, let's trash our copper short sword since it might be the most used starter weapon of all time. Well, that is besides the copper pickaxe and axe, which I will also be avoiding using as a weapon, though I do need to keep them in my inventory to gather some basic materials. So, what's going to be our first weapon? Besides the guide killing things for us, I mean. Well, I think that a wooden sword is out of the question, and probably the cactus sword as well, since I've definitely used both of these as starter weapons at some point. So let's try to find something that I haven't used. Oh, that could work. A palmwood sword should do the trick. I don't think I've ever used that before. In fact, it has one single point of damage on the standard wooden sword, so that's a win in my book. However, killing Master Mode vultures with this thing is still not ideal, so maybe there's something better I can find. Our first golden chest contains a mace, but I'd be kidding myself if I haven't used it and its fiery upgrade before, so we're just gonna trash it. Meanwhile, our houses prompt a demolitionist and merchant to move in. I think I could have allowed the use of the sickle as a weapon, but I unfortunately forgot that it does do a decent amount of damage on top of its hay gathering abilities. I did rule out the usage of basic grenades, however, since I definitely have used them in the past. To our left is the corruption, and I decided to chop down an ebonwood tree and compare the damage of the sword to my current one. Shockingly, I find that it does a couple more points of damage than the palmwood sword, and even has an edge over the sickle, so that's cool. However, these are just really small upgrades. Confronted with a black slime, we're still going to have some difficulty. An ebonwood bow would help give us a bit more range. Since when can you turn bunnies and squirrels into bunny stew and grilled squirrels? I apparently haven't played since that edition. Ooh, well, that is an interesting item. I've already decided that I'm not going to use a cloud in a bottle if I find one. Same goes for the blizzard and sandstorm bottles. But did you know that there's actually two more types of double jumps? First off, we have the tsunami in a bottle, which can be found by fishing. This one I'm going to allow since fishing is something that I've only recently begun to do when I play Terraria, and I can't really think of a time I've used the tsunami over the cloud. The second double jump is the fart in a bottle. Hilarious, I know, but it's actually a better double jump than the cloud and tsunami, and is also an accessory that I've never used before. To craft it, all you need is a whoopee cushion and a cloud in a bottle. Musket, Vilethorn, Band of Regen, and cloud in a bottle are all items that I'm not going to use, but now let's get an actual upgrade. See, in pre-hard mode, the arms dealer sells the mini shark, a very widely used item. But this isn't the only gun he sells. Alongside the mini shark, he sells the flintlock pistol, a weapon that usually gets shoved aside because of the mini shark's existence. I cannot think of a single time that I've actually used this weapon over the boomstick or the undertaker or musket. Hey, perfect. But will it be enough to take on the first boss? Well, I guess we're gonna find out. Yeah, unfortunately, with only the default running speed, I'm not gonna be able to kill this boss quite yet. Speaking of bosses, what bosses do I need to kill in pre-hard mode? Do I even need to kill the King Slime? Well, no, not really. Same goes for the Eye of Cthulhu, since we won't be using the shield. However, killing at least one of these is still useful though, since they gatekeep the Dryad, who will allow us to begin setting up a potions farm. The only boss that we really need to set our sights on is the Eater of Worlds. We need those shadow scales to progress the game. Alright, I want to upgrade some stuff. First, my pickaxe, which is still painfully copper and makes digging a elevator a very glacial process. Second, I want to upgrade my ebonwood sword, since 11 damage is really not cutting it anymore. To solve this, I decided to go fishing. I just need a little more demonite to make the fishing rod. Oh, there we go. Now, there's a couple items we could get here. The Reaver Shark is obviously the desired pickaxe, and for the sword, either the Falcon Blade or the Swordfish will work, since I've never used either. We end up catching the Reaver Shark, along with the Tsunami in a bottle and a frog leg. The frog leg I'm going to put away for now until I can turn it into something a bit more unusual. But no melee weapon, huh? Wait a second, the Reaver Shark already does 5 points of damage over my sword. Well, when's the last time anyone's used a Reaver Shark as a weapon? I'll take it. Another slime rain results in a couple pinkies plummeting down to the earth, giving me an excuse to try out bouncy grenades. Sure, I said no regular grenades, but bouncy grenades are technically something different, plus they do a little bit more damage, for whatever reason. They actually work really well, and if I hadn't fallen off this roof, I might have killed the king slime. But enough getting caught off guard with these surprise slime rains, let's just summon the boss ourselves using our one singular ruby. While fishing in the ice biome, I managed to pull some ice skates, which don't exactly give you any speed, but do make you extremely agile on ice. Since we got the ice skates, I might as well take advantage of its less than mediocre ability and build an ice platform to fight the king slime on. And, well, we were certainly on pace to kill it finally, until it decided to leap off the platform and despawn. Oh, Terraria. While doing some fishing quests, I managed to pick up the Falcon Blade, so that's cool. Won't help against the boss, but I at least have a proper melee weapon now. I was beginning to get sick of not being able to run, so I delved into the underground desert in search of Dune Rider boots, the only pair of boots that I'm allowing myself to wear. I also craft some bone javelins using all of the fossils that I found, which helped me finally take down the king slime. Thankfully, it dropped the slimy saddle, so we don't have to fight this boss ever again. Just after I find the sand boots, and using everything I've gathered from the underground desert, I craft an amber hook, an amber staff, more bone javelins, and most notably, the sand gun. I've never used this thing before, but it seems like it actually does a lot of damage for how easy it is to craft. Okay, yeah, this thing rules. It does make a mess though, so how could we counter that? Well, Badger used dressers to protect his arena from explosions, so let's use picnic tables to protect our arena from sand. It kinda works. Apparently there's some code that tells the sand to sometimes not break even when falling on a platform that it's not supposed to be on, but it generally serves its purpose. And wow, perfect timing, huh? That's going to annoy the hell out of me, isn't it? Well, whatever. It's actually a pretty good double jump. Let's give the Eater of Worlds a try and see how that goes. Yeah, honestly, I kind of forgot that piercing is kind of important for a fight like this, but what bow could we use? The best bow to craft right now is the Demon Bow, or a Platinum Bow, but I don't think that I'm allowed to use either. So, Ebonwood Bow with Jester's arrows? I mean, honestly, I wish I still had some bouncy grenades, since they would be a great weapon for this fight. Well, let's just use sticky grenades instead. They won't be as good, but it'll get the job done. Oh yeah, I forgot that the Eater of Worlds is like super mega resistant to explosions now. Oh well, I guess we're gonna have to use the sand gun instead. Oh, I'm out of sand, aren't I? Oh god, I don't want to lose my buffs again. Well, that was a really chaotic fight. I should have gone into that more prepared. A traveling merchant sells the Gray Zappinator, and I only reluctantly buy it since I'm not 100% sure that I've never used it before. It ends up not even being that good anyways. The sand gun still beats it. Finally. Blood Moon fishing is something that I've only recently begun to do in Terraria, which means that it has some items that I've never used before. The two in pre-hard mode that I'm eager to try out are the Vampire Frog Staff and the Blood Rainbow. I don't pick them up in this first Blood Moon, but I do pick up a Bloody Tear, so I can summon the moon myself and grind for them whenever I want. There's not much that I can craft with Hellstone. Fiery Greatsword, Imp Staff, and Molten Fury are all off limits, as is Hellstone armor. However, the Flamerang is something that I've never used before. I always kind of thought that it was a joke weapon. Boomerangs at this stage of the game? No thanks. I'll take that sweet Molten Fury. Well, let's try it out. Please somebody let me know if there's a single person that's ever crafted this item before. So what weapons / accessories can we use from the dungeon? Well, pretty much none of them. I mean, maybe the Aqua Scepter, but I'm really only down here for the Shadow Key, Water Candles, the Alchemy Table, and the Bewitching Table. Now that we're post-Skeletron, it's time to start thinking about the Wall of Flesh, the gateway to hard mode. Wall of Flesh is notoriously a very hard fight, especially in Master Mode. So what weapons can we use against the Wall of Flesh? Well, here are all of our options. There's all the ones that we can't use, and this is what's left over. I'm sure some of you are a bit skeptical right now. How has this guy put 2,000 plus hours into this game and never used the quad barrel shotgun? Well, partly because it takes the most awkward crafting station of all time to create, otherwise known as Ectomist. Secondly, when it's put up against a boomstick, its massive spread of bullets renders it a bit less useful despite its higher damage. Third, the weapon is actually fairly new to the game, being introduced with the 1.4 update, so I just haven't had a chance to try it out for myself yet. Speaking of things that came with 1.4 that I haven't really tried before, Deerclops dropped some pretty interesting weapons that might be good against the wall of flesh. The one I really have my eye on is the Pneumatic Horn, since range damage will be most helpful against the wall of flesh. Unfortunately, due to my inexperience with this boss, I totally underestimated how hard it would be. However, for some reason the boss doesn't despawn when you die. Well, that's kinda lame. Well, we don't even end up getting one of the desired drops anyway. How about we come back to this boss when we're a little more prepared and kill it without dying? I finally catch the Blood Rainbow, but unfortunately it's not really that good at this stage in the game, and won't be useful for wall flesh, because unless I dig the ceiling of the underworld up, which I don't really want to do, the projectiles are going to hit an off-screen roof. I don't know why the projectiles can't just fall where your cursor is, but whatever. Judging by how much damage I was taking in that Deerclops fight, I really need to upgrade my armor. The problem is, I don't really know what armor should go for. Gold and Platinum armor are pretty lame, Obsidian armor I've used before, Gladiator armor is too annoying to grind for, and Meteor and Jungle are pretty boring. Can't use Shadow, Necro, Bee, or Molten armor. Well, I picked up a piece of Ancient Shadow armor at some point, why don't I just try and complete the set? Sure, it is one of those armor sets where each piece only has like a 0.19% drop chance from a specific enemy, but since Eater of Souls spawn in surplus on their own, it won't be that annoying to grind for. Plus, the farm also doubles as a way of collecting plenty satisfied food items, so that's convenient.